Alright, boys and girls, today me and Stefan are installing some Solowerks on my girlfriend's 19 SEL Jetta. So this is a torsion beam rear, so it's not like what a GTI install would be, so we figured it'd be something different and might as well show it. My camera mic's not working, so probably just do no audio and kind of just show y'all and throw words on the screen. So this car, as you can see, has about that much wheel gap. Obviously that's a little exaggerated because it's kind of jacked up, but the goal is to not have any of that. These are Golf R wheels off of like a 17, 18 Golf R. Huh?
Show them the tires.
Oh yeah. With some like sticky Firestone Indy 500s up front, you know, because it makes all of 120 horsepower. And then some awesome, what are these? Iron Man, I move Iron Man Gen 2s. Mismatched tires, gotta love it. That's what happens when you have a blowout. Makes Stefan do all the heavy lifting. Yeah. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say it's a torsion beam rear, there you go. That's what it looks like. Oh shit. So, rear install should be pretty easy. Front's probably gonna be a pain, but we'll see. I forgot to mention one small detail. We're driving this car like a 2,000 plus mile round trip starting tomorrow. So, I'm gonna throw those on, and then tomorrow at like 4 or 5 a.m. we're gonna drive it some places.
That's if we get the coilovers installed.
That's if we get the, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Important thing to note, there is a charcoal canister, I think is what it is, back here. So you gotta remove some of the fender liner to get to the top of the strut up here. Alright, so passenger side's a little bit more difficult than the driver's side.
There's like a little bracket on the back end. You see this little bracket?
Yeah, it just slides into it or pivots into it. So you gotta pull this down to be able to get to the top of,
which is attached to the body right here, and then you pull downwards and it should pop right out.
just to get to those.
Yeah. So offset 16, that way you can get in there. And then you're gonna need some pliers to lock this bad boy in place, so that way the shock doesn't spin. It'll be fun because you're not gonna be able to get far with it. Easy as that. There you go. Take that
Cool.
off. Pop this off. You're gonna have to put your knife to the dust boot, because you don't need the OEM bump stop that's in here.
That bump stop versus
That bump stop.
that bump stop.
What they recommend you to do is, I think they tell you to put this one over, and you can still put this on. And then to put this back on, now you need an Allen because it's a different head. So we'll need to get that, and then you'll be done with this. The nut's actually a little bit larger than the factory one that we took off. And then you need a 5mm, 5.5 Allen to prevent the shock from spinning, and that way you can get everything locked on. And we'll just do that for the other side. We'll remove the springs, and then the new springs, tighten everything up, and then go to the front. Rear springs, we'll just want to push down the rear trailing arm with but probably. And then it should pop out. And there it is. Comes out pretty easy. We'll take a look, and we might have to reuse the rubber isolators on the top and bottom.
I think we should.
Okay. So we won't need the top isolators. The Solowerks already come with a rubber isolator right here, so you won't have to worry about that. And then we pretty much match it up. We're starting at a middle ride height. That way it can kind of give us a baseline of where we want to be. Make sure that both sides are even as possible. Once you put it on the ground, I'm sure that one side's gonna be lower than the other just because of the weight balance. Alright, so for the fronts, they are going to be a little bit more challenging. There's a couple ways you can do it. Some people like doing the inside axle. That way the whole thing kind of spins forward and you're able to drop it. From my experience and what we do here, we remove the whole spindle with the shock. As everything comes out, it makes it easier to remove the strut pinch bolt, as well as you're able to spread it a lot easier. That makes life a lot easier as well, because that way this whole thing slides down, you're not having to battle it. So today we will need a couple things. We have our 24mm impact socket that we saw on the website. It's perfect for that outside axle nut. We have our M14 triple square, which you'll need on the back pinch bolt, which you'll see in a little bit. We'll need a 21mm for the rear caliper carrier bolts, and that way this whole assembly just pops off. We'll need a 18mm socket. This is going to undo the sway bar end link. It's also going to help undo the pinch bolt as well, because it's a nut on one side. We'll have a 16mm. You'll need this to remove the 3 ball joint nuts on the bottom. 18mm. This will actually help remove the tie rod, which we'll have to just pop off. For the tie rod, you also probably need a big hammer. So this is going to help break that loose, and that way you don't have to get a tool to damage the boot. Screwdriver, since we'll be showing you how to remove the axle nut without an impact. Again.
No, we don't have to do it again. We'll just use that clip.
You probably need a pretty large 1/2-inch ratchet or a breaker bar, because these caliper carrier bolts are extremely tight on there, so quite interesting to try and remove them on the jack stands, since we don't have no lifts, unfortunately. You need a screwdriver tool. This is something that we do offer on the website, slightly different than this. It just will go back into the spindle itself and spread it apart, because this is just pretty much pinched on the shock. So you definitely need this. It's going to be a pain without it. It's going to make life a lot harder. And we also need a, what size is this, a 5mm? 5. No, it's a 9mm. It's a 9mm Allen. This is going to help you remove and install the actual strut mounts. So for the Solowerks, they're 9mm. You're going to need this, and then
also
you'll need a
tie rod.
Huh?
Also for the tie rod.
Oh yes, this also helps for the tie rod, just in case the nut kind of gets locked in there, because it's locking the nut. So the 9mm is going to help just hold it in place so you can remove the nut with the 18mm wrench. The 9mm will also help install the new strut mounts onto the Solowerks, and you'll need like a 22mm wrench that is offset. That way you can put it in the strut mount area and hold it in place, and then you'll be able to tighten everything up like that. We'll show you in a little bit. So we'll get to it, and we'll get everything installed and finally completed, hopefully. So to remove the axle bolt without an impact or a second person, what you do is get a screwdriver, a pretty nice thick one, put it inside one of the vanes for the actual rotor, And this is actually going to wedge and push against the caliper, so that way you have enough leverage to break this. It's nice and tight. I think these are set to like 200 torque, I think.
That bar is bending.
I need a longer bar. Oh no, look, I got it.
Look at that.
Daddy's strong. Daddy did it.
Yeah, way better than doing it by hand.
Yep.
People do that. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
Don't do that.
There we go.
Blammo.
Daddy did it.
Those are important because that needs to be on the inside of the car facing the front and the rear, those arrows. So just for alignment purposes, if not, you're gonna have to take it off and redo it. So fun stuff.
Drop it as fast as I can.
Yeah, drop it as fast as you can. I'm just kidding.
We need to go lower.